It's our red Zerg player playing for CSO Esports. This is YoungYakov.
His opponent in the blue, playing Zerg as well, from Austria and playing for Team Platinum Heroes. It is HateMe. Interesting nickname. I wonder how he came up with it.
They have been... Oh, like his nickname or the team name?
Oh yeah, his nickname.
Oh, gotcha. No, I don't know.
Maybe it's like one of those like where he really wanted to be loved, so he tells people hate me, and then in turn they will somehow love him.
Like reverse
I don't know if that's how
psychology.
it works. Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
How did you pick your nickname?
Oh my gosh, that's like a super long story. The short version of it is like I had a longer name that I used when I first started playing StarCraft and getting into streaming. It was Rush Ichiro. And it was a long name. People didn't know how to pronounce it and spell it. And there was one day where somebody just shortened it to Rushy. And I liked it.
That wasn't a long story at all.
Well, that's the very short version. Because, like, it could be like, oh, well, where's the Ichiro part? What's Rush mean? Do you play aggressively? Like, that's the fun part. Like, I'm a Zerg player, but, like, I don't typically cheese all the time.
You just want to make drones?
Yeah.
Like, contradictory, just like hate me?
And yeah, and it's super like unfortunate on the ladder because people just like glance at my username and they'll see Rushy like, no, 12 pool him quick. It's like, I just want to build drones, man.
You trickster. I think a lot of people have actually a similar story to their nickname. I have the same. My nickname was Mastodonte. You know what that is? Like a prehistoric like elephant or something, mastodon or something, I think in English. And somebody shortened it to Todd. And Elky, it was the same. His nickname was El Cantar, all caps. And that was too long, so people just called him Elky, and then he kept that. See?
Yeah, I don't feel so weird after all.
Yeah, I think we have similar build orders here from both players so far. They're just doing their due diligence with the scouting, similar timing as well on the metabolic boosts. And same timing on the third base as well. So complete mirror. Are we going to see a longer game finally? Are we going to see a really long game? I was just watching the A stream and Showtime Shutdown played an insane longer game where there was motherships involved. Obviously the minus 400 happens. That was pretty cool to see.
Oh, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if this game goes the distance here. YoungYakov is a rather aggressive player. He loves his mid-game timing attacks. So like 6-7 minute mark, he will just like dump into tons and tons of production. I mean, like right now, he is starting to ramp things up a little bit, getting a ton of Zerglings on the production tab here. Baneling Nest going to finish up for both sides, so they will be equally prepared. And HateMe has a pretty good view right now. Actually going to be able to scout this undetected here by YoungYakov. So HateMe's going to know what's coming down the ramp here at him. He's going to be able to defend, but I don't think he'll overcommit. These Banelings aren't going to catch him by surprise.
It's a lot about being able to react well enough here. Ooh, actually one of those Banelings. Got only one Ling here. Queen in position to help out. Baneling's trying to sneak past. YoungYakov falling back when he sees that this will not be successful. And YoungYakov actually ahead on the work account, which means that there's going to be more units on the side of HateMe. So the counter-attack potential is going to be there. It's going to be real. YoungYakov needs to be the one making a few more units here, perhaps. And he starts his lair just now.
Yeah, well, I mean, very early lair. This is a tricky moment for YoungYakov. This is one of those scale tip situations where if HateMe gets the sense that the transition is happening, he could very easily just pump out a bunch of Lings and overwhelm his opponent. But it seems like he's going to do a transition of his own. He's going to pick up that +1 missile attack. He's going to get Roach Warren as well. So a nice little timing in that regard. It could still be very strong, but can't help but feel like Yakov is going to try and make a maneuver of his own. He is going for +1 melee and a Roach Warren. What do you make of that?
Yeah, so they're playing different styles where HateMe, I think, wants to go into Roaches and perhaps down the line Hydralisks and stuff like that. Yakov's going to rely a lot more on Lings, Banes, perhaps an indicator that he might want to go into Mutalisks as well. And yeah, there it is. The Spire started immediately behind this. And that's in line with his style, you know, like when somebody likes to play aggressive. You mentioned it, like he was making a bunch of links, Banes trying to get into his opponent's face, force a mistake, wasn't able quite to do that. Going into Mutalisks immediately behind and having kind of the initiative, so to speak. Oh my god, Struan's almost died here. Yeah. He's gonna have a lot of initiative.
Gosh, there's just Lings and Banes everywhere. 7 workers go down in the natural here. YoungYakov, a couple of Banelings do end up waddling their way in, and that is going to force YoungYakov to be a bit more aggressive, as he is going to need to try and counterbalance the damage here. The drone count, you mentioned it earlier, in his favor, 65 to 48 right now. That is a painful difference here, especially when you want to go into Mutiling Bane play.
Yeah, both players already on six extractors, but Yakov is going to be the one trying to capitalize on all the additional gas that is banked up until this point. To go straight into, ideally, I think you want to start like, 8 to 10 Mutalisks pretty quickly. So you can get rid of the overlords around the map, take map control, maybe find some economic damage, even though most players nowadays would be really solid against that. The Lynx! Can he get out? Oh my god, the Banes got so close. They're trapped, aren't they?
Yeah, they're so well zoned. I mean, HateMe with some really good micro. He eliminates more than a majority of the Lings in that push there. So Baneling's still trying to find some additional damage. They're going to get a little bit closer here, but very good pull by HateMe to hold that back. And now it is going to be a switch into those mutas. There's 5 on the field already, 6 in production, so slightly into the double digits. Could be just enough to force a visceral response out of HateMe. And here comes the response. It is going to be Hydras as a initial reaction here, but that is going to take some time to get those Hydras up, as not only the building needs to be built, but those upgrades so very important if he wants to be aggressive against these mutas.
It's going Hive Tech, yeah, so perhaps some Vipers as well to help deal with those mutas even better. But yeah, Spores being spammed everywhere right now. He wants to make sure he doesn't take any economic damage from those mutas. Most of the overlords that were around the map were either sniped or sent back, but there's still 3 of them in center, bottom right, and top left. And can he get that 4th base? That's actually going to complete in a second, and Queens will try and save it.
I mean, there's a little bit of transfuse energy there. They might try, but now with the creep finishing up here, oh, that's going to get dangerously low. There goes 1 transfuse, but it's not going to be enough. So that will get picked off. It's a good grab here for YoungYakov. But that's all just in transition right now. Lurker Den about halfway, just a little under halfway done. The Hive is already finished as well. So we're going to see immediate upgrades. And look at that, Todd. We got Vipers on the way as well. This is going to be a good response to mutas.
Yeah, for sure. He's going for the double Lurker Den, actually, in the main here. HateMe. Trust me, as someone that's made countless amount of double Twilight Council, like, I can appreciate this.
Well, you're just going to get them faster and faster, and the investment early on is worth it here. And actually, I don't hate that choice, because YoungYakov is clawing things back here. I mean, he's been able to swing the worker count back in. The Vipers are going to be very exposed here. They are going to fly over top of a Spore, so it's not going to come without cost, but picking off all 3 of those Vipers, incredible damage here, especially when you trade out 5 mutas. That gas exchange is well worth it.
If you can get the 4th again. Flying past, okay, no, he sees it. The unit's completely out of position. Roaches moving out, and I think YoungYakov was supposed to have seen it here with the overlord that he had in center, but he needs to fly back with the mutas to really intercept that. He's trying to run by with Lynx. He's like, all right, you're gonna have roaches across the map. I'm gonna actually attack into you, and the defense that's supposed to be there, he's not gonna be there. Now roaches have to fly, have to go back. Mutas fly back to try and intercept them.
This is a crazy back and forth here. Lings are going to be able to get into the natural as well. A few Lings getting into the main on top of it here. And these mutas are the main source of damage. The Bane Lings.
Gonna throw Banes into the natural. But there's no drones to chase them away.
Yeah, there goes the Overlord once again. He's going to drop those down, and those are just going to go right on top of Roaches. Those aren't going to find the kind of damage that they need to. Only 4 workers so far going down, and the supplies are relatively even here, Todd. 140 to 132. They're kind of duking it out with each other.
Yeah, but the 4th base on the right-hand side is under assault. Another Viper gets caught. Those are very costly. You can't afford to be losing too many of those. Vipers with a lot of energy now around the natural for HateMe. But in the meantime, YoungYakov keeps on expanding. He's on 5 bases now. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to give him a significant economic advantage here. If we take a look at the income graph, it just plummeting into YoungYakov's favor here. Oh, finally now we've got a parasitic bomb that lands on one of those mutas, but good splitting here by YoungYakov. It didn't come without some damage, though. Now these are going to be able to start working away, and the queen count is dwindling rapidly here. The Ling run-bys are not going to be nearly as effective. The Roaches continue to get the damage done that they need to defend, but there still isn't a whole lot of response for these mutas. We are finally getting lurker upgrades as well, but I worry, Todd, that this is going to be too little too late for HateMe.
He's not doing too bad supply-wise. He has a lot of static defense. It's a lot about kind of sitting back right now and trying to max out on a better army supply that he can then start and siege with. The whole point of the lurkers is that they're going to deal with infinite amount of ground army, you know, Lings, Paints, all that, and then you just have to worry about the mutas, which the Vipers will do in synergy with the Hydralisk that he's going to have. Another attack onto the 4th base. Baneling's connecting. He gets 4 drones. He needs to get more. 7, 10. All right, that's some good snipes here, actually, from YoungYakov, who's taking a 6th base right now while sieging the natural with the mutas, trying to catch those Vipers.
Yeah, the Vipers are getting some good parasitic bombs, but YoungYakov immediately getting the split off here, doing some very, very careful micro. And it's just damage everywhere. 32 drones have gone down at every single base. There's been no relenting here from YoungYakov as he is just assaulting queen after queen, Ling run by after Ling run by. Baneling's in the 4th. The Vipers get picked off. This is just so much damage here for HateMe. I just don't think he's going to be able to recover.
Ling's in the 4th base at the same time. YoungYakov has killed 52 workers in this entire game. He's been all over the place, sniping drones left and right and really preventing HateMe from building up the army and supply that he wanted before he could actually even think about sieging. Now the 3rd base has gone down and HateMe is in a world of trouble. And the plan, like, there's no alternative. It still has to be the same. Just sit back and hope that YoungYakov overextend, loses too many units, which so far he hasn't been doing.
And it's always been very, very good splits here for the mutas. Mutas always in one location, Ling's running to the other. Another good pull off here of the parasitic bomb. Not nearly enough Hydras to deal the damage that they need to, but these mutas can't overextend here. 149 to 102. The difference is closed out just a little bit, but picking off this 3rd base was crucial damage here for YoungYakov. He's continuing to build additional mutas. Like you said, he's already out to 6 bases of his own, and I don't think HateMe has seen the other side of the map for at least the last 5 minutes, if not more.
Yeah, he hasn't even had the opportunity to think about moving out or attacking, and yeah, losing one of his bases, yeah, that's the big problem. He spread out the spores nicely, but YoungYakov found damage everywhere he needed to, catching Vipers again. So many Vipers have been sniped this entire game here. 8 in total so far.
Oh, that was a lot of parasitic bomb damage onto those mutas, so those are going to have to sit out for just a little while, but I think the damage has already been done. Lurkers are now in play here. They are fully upgraded, but again, is it too little too late here? The Lings are going to start dealing additional damage. 7 more workers do end up going down. All in all, it's a total of 66 drones killed here for YoungYakov. And even just look at the other side here. YoungYakov's lost more in terms of the mineral count, but the gas, 75 to 26. That's just an overwhelming amount of gas damage here to his opponent.
HateMe, that's probably felt like a campaign mission here for him this entire game, getting swarmed the whole time as a Zerg player must feel weird and funny, perhaps. Now Banelings are going to start streaming in. Lings on top of Hydralisks. Supply is plummeting. YoungYakov is losing a lot, but he still has so many Mutalisks left over. There's only so many spores here.
The money that HateMe needs to invest has got to go into some sort of army. You can't afford to drop a 75 here, 75 there to build more of these spores. So as these spores get picked off, the chances of them being replaced dwindles drastically. A few more Vipers on the production tab, but this is, again, we're just hanging on by fingertips here. YoungYakov has just not allowed, there goes another Viper. It's not allowed his opponent to have a single calm breath for the last 5 minutes or so. It's just been oppression one moment after the other.
HateMe could have just picked difficulty insane and he might have been fine, but he picked difficulty Yakov. So he's getting swarmed the whole time here. And Yakov is actually losing a lot, not getting the most effective trades, but I mean, he's on 6 bases. So at this point, I don't know that he actually cares. supply plummeting rapidly for HateMe. The second base getting completely overrun. That one lurker was supposed to be the bouncer, but they just all ran past him into the club.
There's a pretty girl that was standing at the door, and the bouncer got talking, so a little distraction.
A pretty roach. We're distracted.
Ultralisk Den coming down here for YoungYakov. I mean, if the coffin wasn't already closed, that's gonna nail it shut for sure.
Yeah, Yakov could even just sit back at this point. He's just happy to be swarming someone here. That's probably what he does the entire day. Just out producing, out macroing people. Yeah, HateMe just trying to hang in there for as long as he could, and that's commendable. But I think he's just running out of everything at this point. He's just gonna tap out YoungYakov with a very convincing map 1 here.
Yeah, it was just a lot of aggression, just ramped up all at once. And once again, I mean, YoungYakov just put the pedal to the floor and he never let up. Mutas all the way across the map, picking off all of those overlords to make those run bys a little bit more difficult to deal with. And it felt like HateMe was always trying to respond to aggression about a second later than he needed it to be. So it was a good series, or not good series, excuse me, a good game. Game number 1. I think that game was like longer than a couple of our series that we've already had today, but it was a good game number 1. But I think HateMe is going to have to match YoungYakov's aggression if he wants to sneak a win in game number 2.
Yeah, it's tricky, or maybe just defend a little better. Which, you know, I'm not the one playing. It's easy for me to say here from the casting desk, if you will. It's hard to say exactly like where he went wrong. It felt like at some point he was doing fine. Maybe like the spores were late on one of the bases, but it's really, I feel like, all credit to Yakov for finding the weakness in the defense of HateMe, because it didn't seem easy at all for him. Like I thought like the game was going to stabilize. He wasn't going to be able to keep on flying in there and killing a lot, but he kept on doing good stuff, except that one baiting drop. That was the most underwhelming thing Yakov did the whole game, when the drones were already gone because he chased them away.
Yeah. Well, game number 2 is just getting underway here. We'll go ahead and bump on into Hardwire. The bottom left-hand corner, it's our blue Zerg player playing for the Platinum Heroes. This is HateMe.
His opponent in the top right, he's young, he's hungry, and he's aggressive. He's YoungYakov. With the 12th pool. You ever watch Rounders? Kid's got alligator blood.
I haven't seen that, no.
You need to watch that. That's a classic. But yeah, Yakov looking to get very aggressive here on Hardwire. With an early pull, perhaps picked up on the fact that HateMe likes to open hatch first and maybe get on the greedier side of things. We're on 18 and we still don't have a pull started here for HateMe, so he's gonna get his own units pretty late. Oh, he gets the extractor before the pull as well.
Well, so this isn't completely undefendable here. I mean, HateMe's got an opportunity. It looks like he's been dropping everything at their optimal times. Because if you get your hatchery down on 16,
he's sending drones.
Oh, he's gonna pull everything. Well, okay.
Aye.
My analysis means nothing now. This comes down to some very careful micro, and I mean, really needs to have a good look at the front side of this creep here, because that's immediately where spine crawlers are going to get placed down, and the drones are going to have to be pulled here for HateMe. Does he have? Oh, he's seen it. Yeah, he saw it with the Overlord here immediately. I love this choice here, dropping the evolution chambers. It's going to force those spine crawlers forward just a little bit more. That means that's going to be more of a commitment from YoungYakov. But this is still going to be difficult. We're still a few seconds away from Lings even being on the map.
Yeah, they delayed everything a little bit here, but not that much. HateMe, he's got his queen on the way. He's pulling drones. One of them gets caught here, away from the rest of the pack. He's trying to get some Lings. He's going to let the expansion finish. Of course, you need those lava to get extra Lings here with all the extra minerals you're going to be able to get from mining with way more drones for a longer time.
Oh, this is actually going really well for HateMe here. He's managing to hold on to his supply advantage, but he's got to find a way to deal with these spine crawlers. Right now, Link's starting to work on a few of the spines, really softening them down. The spine on the right-hand side is not going to get one more poke out. It is going to go down. The second spine does get picked off as well, but the third spine will get fully surrounded here. Is that going to get cleaned up? Yes, it will. YoungYakov only at 10 supply here. He doesn't have near enough to close this out, and HateMe, I think, has done a great job of holding it on. GG is called, and HateMe evens up the series 1-1. Great defense. Great defense.
Yeah. Beautiful with the Evos. Really, like, delaying the spines just by a few seconds might not seem like the biggest of deal. And it's like, well, he's losing resources. Well, no, because he's losing only very few resources because he can cancel those Evos and then spend those minerals on additional Zerglings, on that one queen that's going to help so much. Maybe he can even get his own spine here and there. And is this the speed run day of DreamHack, or like what's going on? We're getting so many quick series. Now we got like the shortest game, 3 minutes and 3 seconds. What's going on, Rushy? They saw your nickname. They're like, we just gotta go for
it. they've all been inspired, have they? No, that was very well done. I mean, that's a perfect example of how you can make that 12 pool just a little less deadly, and HateMe was able to make it work. So game number 3 is going to go to 2,000 atmospheres. I mean, YoungYakov could try and run a 12 pool again, but it wouldn't surprise me if he just tried to play a long form game once again. It worked for him in game number 1. Why wouldn't it work in game number 3?
Yeah, build order-wise, I mean, this looked pretty good, I thought, for Yakov, with having such an early pull, but maybe the rush distance didn't play too much in his favor. But we're on a whole new map here with 2K atmospheres. Let's go right into it, Rushy.
All right, bottom left-hand corner. The cheeky red Zerg here from Russia. This is for CSO Esports. This is YoungYakov.
His opponent in the blue playing Zerg from Austria. It is HateMe. Have you seen the trailer for the Obi-Wan TV show?
No, I haven't yet.
There was a little bit of a flashback from the Obi-Wan against Anakin, where there's the epic line, "I hate you." So seeing his nickname just kind of reminded me of that. Perhaps that's what YoungYakov was just telling himself after that happened.
Yeah.
Last game.
I admittedly, like, I don't watch a lot of TV or movies, like, no particular reason. I don't. So then I feel bad because that's like a really good, like, gentle conversation. Like, oh yeah, do you catch this out? And I'm always the one that's like, oh no, I'm sorry. And then it's like, oh.
Star Wars, though. You've seen all the Star Wars movies.
Yeah. I have done that.
That's the bare minimum. I mean, they different people, like, you know, will appreciate movies or shows or not. I feel like Rotterdam hasn't seen a lot of the classics. I think he might not even have seen The Matrix.
What?
If I remember correctly.
Okay, now that blows my mind.
Yeah. In today's standard, is unacceptable.
So what would you say, like, what's your top, like, what's your top, I'll call it series. So, like, you said Star Wars is, like, a big one. Is that, like, your top movie series, or is it something else?
I don't know that I have one. I appreciate a lot of different movies and, like, TV shows all the time. I would say the best movie I think I've seen this year is Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know if you saw that. Like,
no.
with Michelle Yeoh, it like released recently. Yeah, it was a really, really cool movie. But there's a lot of good stuff coming out these days.
Yeah, feels like we're starting to hit a good stride in the entertainment medium again, which is good. I mean, it's taken a lot of time to kind of bounce back from world events, but it would be nice to see return to more normality. I hate to even say, like, return to normal, because what's even normal anymore? But things that are typical, things that we like seeing, definitely want to get a return to that.
I'm watching Top Gun tomorrow, actually.
Ooh.
New one. Okay, so Bailing Nest, exact same timing. We haven't been talking much about the game, but I mean, there's nothing special to mention. It's just fully standard, exact same mirrored production tab here in the top left-hand side up to this point. And the question will be, does YoungYakov do a similar aggression that to what he did in game 1? And yes, there it is, 16 links, 6 on the other side. The rush distance kind of scary with all the space that there is to attack into on this map, you know, with the way the ramp is set up at the expansion and third base. So it'll be interesting to see if YoungYakov can find more damage than he did in the first game, where the initial Ling Bane didn't actually do that much.
Well, the Lings are going to be spotted. Not a surprise by any stretch. It's going to be the Banelings that might be a bit of a bigger surprise here, as the Lings are going to push into the third base location. It looks like Lings are going to challenge the Queen as well, but that will be easily dealt with. Banelings in response by HateMe is going to be good. First Baneling gets picked off here for YoungYakov. Does pick off one of the Banes, but HateMe does a good job of holding on to his defensive Bane, so that's going to force YoungYakov back with little to speak of, and I think HateMe now has an opportunity to make his own aggression happen.
Hey, there was a pretty big connection in there here with one of those Banes here from HateMe. I wonder if you actually go for a similar scenario as well, where YoungYakov goes for +1 melee again into Mutas. I mean, that worked out so well in game one. Is that what he would want to prioritize again, or does he try and, you know, play it a little differently with his own roaches? Perhaps they both have their own specifics. He goes for +1 Carapace, and so does HateMe. So yeah, perhaps both players playing entirely different here, with more roaches into Hydralisks and way more standard. I mean, seeing Yakov play as aggressive as he's been so far this series, perhaps the 3-base flood at some point. Why not?
I just think it's interesting that right now, I mean, they are in lockstep with each other, both going for +1 Carapace, both going for roaches. So I don't think we're going to see Mutaling Bane out of YoungYakov this time around. But both players going to commit into the mid-game roach battle here. But it's going to be the modified version, where the roaches just are a little bit tankier rather than having +1 missile attack. So the bulk up of roaches right now starting to get underway. Both players are delaying lair, at least for a little bit of time here. So we're going to see a lot of this hatch tech aggression take place. And more than likely, a nice little battle coming in here. That's going to be a good number of Lings. Baneling's going to get into position to defend that and hold that back here. And that's going to give YoungYakov just a little bit more time. Oh, that Baneling waddling up here. YoungYakov with a good pull.
Okay, 2 Banes on the right-hand side. HateMe reacts on time. Wow, honestly, I'm very impressed with HateMe's drone pull every time he's under attack on any of his bases. He's been very quick every single time with those. And I know that because I said that 2 Banes are going to connect and kill everything, but he's been doing really good. And he has a lot of roaches. He might be the one just going for a timing. I mean, seeing as to how well he's doing currently with more drones and great production, might just actually be going for it. Wait, he never started lair.
No, I mean, YoungYakov did, but HateMe is still on hatch tech right now. And I was actually kind of thinking that this might be a really good attack point for YoungYakov. I mean, the third base, it's under half health here, Todd. So that's going to be a really, really big fighting point. HateMe's not going to be able to let that sit for too terribly long. He's going to have to commit into that defense. But YoungYakov backs off here. So that's not going to be as a big of a contention as I might have guessed here. Both players going to pick up that +1 missile right away, so roaches will be at 1-1 at a similar timing. But again, we are starting to get into that lair tech, and this is taking a little bit longer to wind up than we might have otherwise anticipated.
Yeah, with both players going up to all 6 extractors here momentarily, there's always the question of what for exactly. There it is, the Spire for YoungYakov. At the back of the main base, not super likely to get scouted. Keep in mind, by the way, YoungYakov lost a very important overlord, the one right outside the third base of HateMe. So he's lacking vision in that area. If you look at his vision, he doesn't see anything in the center. That could get scary if HateMe was to go for a timing that then Yakov wouldn't be seeing coming. Because on the other side, we have very clean overlords everywhere for HateMe, who sees everything.
Yeah, very, very good view of the map right there. It's a great observation here. Additional roaches. HateMe is going to wind up for the big roach ball coming across the map here. He's got 96 army supply. The Spire's only a little over halfway done, and then it's still going to be enough time to get some mutas out. I mean, maybe 10 are going to be available with the current gas count that exists for YoungYakov. He's running off of 6 extractors, which is good, but he's got to find a way to hold off this push that's coming right now.
HateMe didn't even scout the Spire, but it's almost like he knows. Oh, that Queen on the third base. Such a sick block with the drones here from HateMe again. Reacting perfectly. Those Lynx, none of them is attacking. He's using hold position to try and deal some extra damage to them, but the Lynx will get cleaned up eventually. And the Roach Ball on the other side is huge for HateMe here. He's got 38 roaches against 21 right now.
Yeah, I was going to say that disparity is huge, and that means this third base is going to get knocked down. Yeah, there were 17 drones that got picked off for HateMe, but that base is going to be incredibly valuable kill here for YoungYakov. Losing that base is going to make it difficult for him to continue repopulating his muta count, as mutas are going to come out. That will come out in a strong enough number, but again, does he have enough to deal with the giant roach force of HateMe? He's going to try and get across the map here and deal some of his own damage. Starting to work away at the roach count here, but I wonder if the hatchery is going to become a target anytime soon. It doesn't appear to be so. It just looks like it's going to be as much damage as possible, but 14 workers getting picked off on the opposite side. The mutas are being forced to stay back at home, Todd.
Yeah, this is so annoying for Yakov here. He's not only losing drones, the mutas not being able to pressure on the other side is going to give a lot of space for HateMe to get additional spores to be able to deal with them better. And the Hydralis den behind this is just completed, and he can just begin Hydra production. Look at how much minerals he saved up as well here. And he wasn't spending this whole time. HateMe is already out of 200. Okay, that guy held the overload button a little too long, perhaps.
The laser lords coming out here for HateMe, as he is going to deal some additional damage. He did lose his third and fourth base, so HateMe does need to try and restabilize here. Getting this additional damage done is going to be important, but that's where the +1 carapace is going to come into play. Those glaive bounces are not going to be nearly as effective. That means this third base is going to go down. Both players really taking big shots at each other's economy, and that pulls this income graph way back into the center. So now suddenly this is a little bit more difficult. I mean, he's going to get a cancel on the fourth once again.
Yeah, which was really the third here at this point, because both of his expansions were sniped. YoungYakov, this is so awkward because he's on 48 workers, but saturated on 2 bases, which have been very depleted here already. So he needs to find a way to re-expand. He might be the one that has to play more defensive here, even though he's chasing onto some roaches out on the map, which gives room for HateMe to actually move out with Hydralisks. And that one overlord I was mentioning earlier, he was gone. There is some extra ones here in center, but can he actually get enough on time? He was trying to drone up.
Oh,
it's a lot of Hydralisks.
Yeah,
23 Hydralisks against 19 mutas.
There's a lot of Hydras, but this is a very exposed army. I mean, even getting a decent amount of Lings to help soak up a little bit of the DPS could be very dangerous for these Hydras. But right now, it looks like YoungYakov is just going to focus his attention elsewhere. Mutas are going to go across the map, but I think at some point, he's going to have to address this problem here. Hydras are going to walk into the natural as well. The Mutas getting pushed back on the opposite side of the map. Oh, and the drones are going to start becoming an issue. Here come the Banelings, though. They're not going to be able to get on top of everything, and the Banelings will be able to deal a decent amount of damage, but is that enough for the mutas to pick them off?
Yeah, the mutas had to be there, I think. It was such a mistake to have them across the map. There was no room for them to actually counterattack. They fly back in and get rid of those Hydralisks. The damage has been dealt here. 17 drones going down. 39 walkers to 30. This is a slugfest. They're just swinging left and right and trading blow for blow. But I think HateMe, it feels like he's way further ahead now, being on Hydralisk tech on low econ. It's going to be better than these mutas, I think.
Oh, those mutas can't afford to fight that many Hydras here at this point, so he's going to have to draw these as far off a creep as possible to dive on in, but the Spore Crawlers are still enough here. There's one in each mineral line, so those mutas can't afford to just dive in at this point. The economy for both players just in shambles, but the Hydras are going in once again, Todd. They want to get some more lethal damage.
Yeah, centrifugal hooks completed here for Yakov. If he can connect with some Banes, yeah, he loses some before the fight even truly begins. Baneling Nest is going to get sniped. That's no more Banelings. One of the key units they need more of here to be able to defend against those Hydralisks. And Yakov, this might be it. Plummeting in supply, still trying to make something happen on the other side. It is a miracle at this point with those mutas.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost got to be a Baneling miracle here, and Yakov does have 2 Banelings up in the main base. This would be his moment, but the Hydras are going to come pouring on in. The ramp is not going to be their friend. Banelings will connect into small amounts, but not near enough to take down that army, and GG is called.